Welcome back, Patriots, for another episode of The Bald Brad Show, where we are a conservative podcast that brings you the news each and every morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, as well as doing a Dark MAGA podcast each and every Tuesday and Thursday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we break down the news as well, bring you everything you need to know about heading into your work day, your work week, and just quite frankly, laying down the law and speaking the truth, just as much as Charlie Kirk did. A man that stood for values, American values, faith, freedom, liberty, and did nothing but speak his mind to the American people. And by the way, let other people speak their minds. But the left can't have that happen in this country. And we've spoken about the left. We've hounded the left. We've called the left out countless times here on the show. So much that I wrote an entire book called Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America, which you're seeing in present time. It's something that's been going on for decades at this point. And now they're at the point to where now they're assassinating conservatives. And cliche as it is, this is a turning point for the country. Now, it is almost symbolic, however you would like to phrase it, that Charlie Kirk's organization is called a Turning Point or Turning Point USA. And this man's life was taken, and it has created a turning point for this country to where a man that spoke about faith, Christ is King, has led to people flocking to the churches because of his faith. The churches were full this weekend. There was countless people going to church over the weekend, and they didn't know where to put everybody because the churches were full. Now, that is exactly something you want to see. There wasn't enough parking. In some cases, there wasn't enough seating. And in some cases, people have been going to church for 20 years. And it's all because Charlie Kirk has revitalized the faith. He has brought back something within this country that has awakened something in all of us to where people are pursuing Christ once again. What an amazing thing to see over the weekend was not just the vigils and people going to pay their respects to Charlie Kirk, but I think more important to him was people going and flocking to the churches again and filling them up to where they didn't know what to do. My hope is that people continue to go to church. They continue to find their faith. And I've always said it, heck, the Lord said it himself. If you seek him, he will be found. And what's also been fascinating over the weekend was watching people go on TikTok that used to be a part of the left and talked about how, one, either they're leaving that or they had left it long ago, and that the evil within that party, the progressive left, I'm not talking about the Democrat Party, I'm talking about the progressive left, the evil within those people has never been so black and white for many others. For us, it is because we've talked about it. But for many, they had never seen so much evil. Well, good morning. Let's cover the news, folks. The Turning Point request for Turning Point USA chapters soar after Charlie Kirk assassination. Within days of the assassination of conservative commentator and Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, the campus organization, check this out, has received more than 32,000 requests for new chapters around the United States. I mean, this is not going anywhere. If anything, it has exploded and is going to get bigger. And what is our jobs as conservatives, maybe influencers or people that do podcasts, is to fill that void now. Get those chapters going. Having conservative and Republican teachers on campus, because some of these can be high school chapters, rise up and fill the void. And Charlie was already changing the culture on college campuses that was predominantly left-leaning. Now it was moving. Actually, the studies had showed the arrows were going right all across the country, were going right. That's why they didn't want him. Somebody said it great and said it right, was that, Charlie Kirk never went to college. So Charlie didn't need college, but college needed Charlie. The colleges, the universities needed Charlie Kirk. You don't need a college education. What you need is Christ. What you need is a good family upbringing. What you need is a good foundation. And that foundation does start in Christ. And then it starts in Judeo-Christian values. And then you move on to the values of this great country. And they all overlap. They all interweave. That's what he spoke of. And they deleted him for it. Why? Because the left is insane. And I'm not going to stop calling out the left. They are different than the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party still believes in free speech, Second Amendment rights, all those things. It's just that there's a large swath of people that have been absorbed into that party that are, deleting conservatives now, going after the president of the United States, such and such. Andrew Clovet, producer of the Charlie Kirk Show, shared the news in a post on X saying, "I want to share a praise report from Turning Point USA. The organization has received over 32,000 inquiries in the last 48 hours to start new campus chapters. To put that in perspective, TPUSA currently has 900 official college chapters and around 1,200 high school chapters with a presence of 3,500 total. Charlie's vision to have a Club America chapter or high school brand in every high school in America, around 23,000, will come true much faster than he could have ever possibly imagined. Truly incredible. It's just sad to see that his life was taken. And that's what led to this great boost. I believe he would have gotten there regardless. I believe that he would have made it if time would have allowed. But as I mentioned, this is a turning point for the country. And it's just absolutely remarkable that the awakening that we've seen in this country that has led to so many people going back to church, being revitalized in their faith. It's almost like a romantic novel in a way. So good on that. My hope is that this is something that continues and doesn't stop. So we have Charlie Kirk making America great again as well, but also making Christ great again. There's many memorials held. One that was held was for Charlie Kirk all across the country during Sunday football. A memorial for slain conservative Charlie Kirk will be held next Sunday, September 21st at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Join us in celebrating the remarkable life and enduring legacy of Charlie Kirk. I will be streaming this if it's being streamed, and I'd imagine it is. And hopefully I'm home on the morning of the 21st, a State Farm Stadium on the Arizona Cardinals in Glendale, Arizona. Now, I heard, and I don't know if this is true, maybe somebody could clarify this in the chat. I heard that the 21st is Peace Day, which is also just another remarkable symbology taking place. So you already have turning point, right? Where we're seeing a turning point in this country, hopefully. You're seeing a turning point in people's faith, a turning point for conservative Republicans and many, I guess Democrats and progressives, maybe having a turning point in their political viewpoints. And then also a call for peace to be had if that truly is Peace Day on the 21st. I'd also like to point out that you notice that not a single building has been burned down, that no conservatives are rushing to the streets. Nothing of the sort, like you saw with Black Lives Matter and Antifa. See, that's what the left does. The left destroys. And I'm going to say it again and again and again and again and again. I wrote an entire book called Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. Because they are. Or else why write a book about it? Why talk about it? Why have a podcast calling them out relentlessly? Because that's what they're doing. Not only their entire ideology is surrounded around destroying things, people's lives, their families, property, businesses, whatever it may be. That's what they do. Yes, I'm aware that YouTube's not working. Typical. Thank you, though. We'll get the show uploaded later then. We'll just keep streaming on YouTube. Or, excuse me, Rumble. The left will not stop. And I'm not going to fall for their, this shouldn't have happened to Charlie Kirk. You know, if you follow me and this is something you celebrate, then unfollow me. Watch what happens. Just give it a little bit of time. The reason why I say that is the left is like a religion. They don't question themselves. They're doing what they have, where now they're going back into the shadows just a little bit, going, oh my God, this is not good, but it's also not bad. You just wait. That rhetoric will come back real quick. State Farm Stadium, home of the NFL's Arizona Cardinals, seats more than 63,000. This place is going to be packed. It's going to be full, and rightfully so. And rightfully so. This service will be a unifying event focused on prayer, mourning, and celebrating the life, legacy, and memory of Charlie Kirk, a national treasure whose life was cut far too short. That comes from Arizona State Senator Jack Hoffman. Many people turned out for vigils and memorials for Kirk over the weekend. One in my local area of Huntington Beach was jam-packed yesterday, and I'll pull some footage up of that for you. The pier was full. The area down below was also full. And I could show you a little bit of what that looks like here. So this started around, I think it was 6 o'clock was when it all started. And James Klug had a bunch of photos. James Klug from Turning Point USA. But here's a bunch of people gathered around during sunset. And then here's James Klug. It looked like he was speaking at the event, I believe. And here's a little bit of that.
I can say that as the honor of being a councilman here in Huntington Beach as well. We've got multiple other government officials here. We've got the mayor, Pat Burns. Thank you so much. Butch Twining, Chad Williams. Am I missing anybody there? They're going to say a few words here as well. I want to thank you all from the depths of my heart for being here, especially on a Sunday afternoon. The sun is setting. Gone too soon. A husband, a father, a leader, a mentor, an inspiration to all of us. He took his last breath here on earth and his first breath with the Lord, and he's watching over us right now. You know, it's funny you bring up the pandemic, because that is when I was kind of shooting my mouth off, and Newsom and I were ping-ponging.
So just again, giving speeches of various sorts is also what it looked like from the pier. So, I mean, there was a huge turnout. And mind you, this wasn't something that was really advertised well. I live in this area and didn't really know this was happening until the day of. I was just scrolling through X and saw it. Now, I did not go, and I will tell you why I didn't go. Was because I live in a state that is ran by leftists. And when you get a bunch of conservatives out there in one area, even though it's a memorial and you're talking and it's a vigil, well, all they need to do is show up and just do a drive-by on you, and then you're deleted as well. Because that's the state of which the left run things. Is you can't even show up to a vigil anymore because of the fear of them just coming by and doing a drive-by right there, because you have PCH that is legitimately right there. So that's the state that we live in this country, and it's been going on for quite some time, and it's not going to stop. If people think it is, they're out of their mind, because the progressive left are out of their damn mind. And again, this is like a religion to them. They hate you. I don't know how anymore. I really can't be any more clear than that. These people, and I'm not talking about Democrats, I'm talking about the left. They hate you. You've seen them go after the president of the United States multiple times. They just assassinated Charlie Kirk. Think about the stories you don't hear. Think about the stories of conservative Republicans being assaulted, getting their MAGA hats ripped off their head, getting their property ripped up and tore up. I mean, these people are so deranged. There was a leftist that vandalized Charlie Kirk's memorial, and I have video footage of it, goes in and tramples a memorial of Charlie Kirk. These people are deranged. And this is what happens when you have no standards in the country. This is what happens, and something that I've been talking about for quite some time is that it starts at home, and then it goes into the school system, and then it goes into college. So you're either going to be radicalized at home, and if you're not radicalized at home, then you'll definitely be radicalized in the education system. And if that doesn't get you K through 12, you're a miracle. And then it's going to get you in college. And if those don't get you, you got it in the media. Then you got it in the news. Then you got it from the other influencers. You know, God forbid that you go out and talk about faith. And I've said it time and time again, my show isn't anything crazy. I don't say crazy stuff here. I say, hey, probably should go to church, find Christ, have a family, take personal responsibility for your actions, don't commit crime, get a good education. Wow. Isn't that, and all those things, Charlie Kirk also spoke of, and he got assassinated for it. He got assassinated for saying that a man cannot become a woman and a woman cannot become a man. He didn't hate them. He said so. He says, I don't hate you. But it's also not right it's not right to expect somebody to play in your delusions. It's not correct. Matter of fact, it's wrong. And so when you just are at the point in a country where you're calling out basic things and you're being assassinated for it, major problem, obviously. And it's a problem because these people are roaming around in the millions and now trampling on a man's memorial. So a man wearing a t-shirt, much like the one that was seen in surveillance photos of the suspected shooter, Tyler Robertson, was caught on camera attempting to destroy a memorial for murdered conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. So here's a little bit of what that looked like. They threw the guy to the ground. And a guy in a blue shirt throws him to the ground, rightfully so. Despicable, disgusting. And the guy was arrested, but he was wearing that same shirt that the assassin was wearing. But once again, if they're not going to destroy you by taking your life, then they will go destroy something else. If they do destroy you by taking your life, they will go destroy your memorial as well. That's all they want to do is destroy. But as you can see, it is the same shirt, roughly. Now, somebody on TikTok, when I posted a video yesterday calling out the left, they write, well, both the left and right are deleting people. No, they're not. That's just you being deranged. No. It's not conservatives going out and deleting people. I actually don't know of a conservative that's gone out and assassinated a president or assassinated a political person. I can't even name one off the top of my head. So don't know what the hell they're talking about. But no, I'm not going to stop. I'm not. Why? Because they are not stopping. There's something wrong with these people that think it's okay to trample on somebody's memorial. I don't think anybody should be deleted for their political viewpoints. On the left or the right or the middle. I don't care who you are. I don't think you should be deleted. But that's the difference, because these people were prancing around with Charlie Kirk within minutes of his death, going around prancing around all excited about it. Why? Because they're mentally deranged. There's something wrong with them. And I'm going to continue to call it out because there's something wrong with them. And I personally don't care if they like it or not. They didn't. Well, they didn't really care about deleting Charlie Kirk's life and celebrating it. So why should I care what they think? I can give two Fs what they think. They're psychos. These are people that are trying to shut you up. And if you don't shut up, they'll kill you. That's where we're at. You either shut your mouth or we're going to kill you. You pick. Yeah, well, I think I'm just going to run my mouth then. Because even if I don't, you don't like me, and then you'll find another way to delete me. You did it, Charlie. You wanted to do it to President Trump. You tried multiple times, couldn't get the guy. Unbelievable. Well, you also had this. That's pretty unbelievable. FBI arrests 2 after bomb found under news vehicle near Utah site of Charlie Kirk assassination. The FBI arrested 2 men over the weekend after they allegedly placed an incendiary device under a local Fox affiliate vehicle in Utah. That's kind of important because Fox is right-leaning. The device was discovered beneath a Fox 13 Salt Lake City news vehicle in the suburb of Magna on Friday, and investigators determined that it failed to detonate after being lit, so they actually tried it. Wow. The suspects are Adib Nazir, 58, and Adil Justice Ahmed Nazir, 31. Sounds almost like a father and son. The men were booked in Salt Lake City jail on Sunday and are being held without bail. Gee, that's kind of nice, right? Held without bail, rather than what you tend to see in leftist areas like California, New York, where it's just cashless bail. Oh, just go ahead. Yeah, don't worry. You don't got to pay anything. We'll see you later. Go do another incendiary device, try to blow somebody up. They were charged with a threat of terrorism, possessing weapons of mass destruction, aggravated arson, and possessing explosive devices. Adib Nazir was born in Pakistan and is an American citizen, according to the booking information. The name Eddie Nash is listed as an alias. Well, that's weird. Maybe just switched his name to be more American, not sure. Due to the nature of the device and its placement, this incident constituted a significant threat to public safety. Yeah, I would say so. During a raid of the suspect's home on Saturday, the FBI, Salt Lake City Police Department, and the bomb squad law enforcement observed additional contraband and evidence of crimes outside the scope of the original warrant, to include firearms and firearm-related items, explosives and explosive-related components, illegal narcotics, and associated paraphernalia. So what that sounds like is they had other contraband, whatever you want to call it, that would be able to then be able to package a explosive device, it seems like. Neither men were supposed to own firearms due to previous drug use, according to court orders. The FBI discovered what appeared to be potentially hazardous materials that could pose a threat to public safety, which tells me that's probably for a bomb. Fox 13 station manager Leona Wood said that the outlet was working closely with law enforcement and our risk management team with the safety of our employees as a top priority. So now they're targeting media outlets. And, I'm going to reserve myself because, there's a push to call out the mainstream media as enemies of the people. And then people are going to go attack them, which should not happen, obviously. My fear is that now you're going to get conservatives, Republicans that are pissed off going and doing stupid stuff. And I hope that does not happen. I really do. Nobody should be attacked. And as of right now, nobody has from the right-hand side attacking the left-hand side, which is what it should not happen. That should not happen. Now, I need to go to the chat really quick. First, thank you for hitting that like and subscribe button. Appreciate you. Second, have you guys noticed something weird? And what I mean by that, I was thinking about this late last night. Where are all the Democrats at? Now, what do I mean? I've seen nothing but Republican and conservative commentators, influencers, everybody doing their rounds, talking how despicable the left is for assassinating Charlie Kirk. RFK just gave a speech last night. Candace Owens has talked about it. Ben Shapiro's talked about it. Steven Crowder's talked about it. Andrew Klavan, Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh. I mean, really, the list goes on and on and on. Glenn Beck. But where are all the Democrat politicians coming out hand in hand with the conservatives, Republicans saying, hey, we don't stand for this? Why are they not out there with RFK Jr.? Where are they all at, the Democrats, making their rounds on news sites, standing hand in hand, arm in arm with Republicans on this? I'm just going, again, I have been gone. I am trying to figure out myself, where are all of they at with their speeches? It's a little weird to me that they're not around. Now, here's the problem. The reason why I'm asking is because we all know how social media works. We all know how TikTok and YouTube and all this stuff works. Is they only going to show you things that you want to see. They're only going to show you the right-hand side. So I am genuinely curious, are the Democrats going out doing speeches saying, hey, this is wrong. We stand with Charlie Kirk and the values he spoke in regards to faith. I haven't seen any Democrats doing it. I've seen people like you're talking about, Benny Johnson, Megyn Kelly. Yeah, they're all there. I can't list every single conservative and influencer out there. I haven't seen them, though, in terms of all these people. I haven't seen Nancy Pelosi. I haven't seen Chuck Schumer. I haven't seen Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, AOC. Gavin Newsom wrote a tweet on X. A lot of these people just wrote a tweet on X. Mind you, they don't even really run their own accounts. They have some assistant running it. So it makes me wonder if they even wrote it in the first place. Maybe they did. The same people that called you extremists, terrorists, threat to democracy, threat to the country, you're fascist, you're racist, you're bigots, you're homophobes, you're xenophobes, you're transphobes, all these things. These are the people that this shouldn't have this happen. I condemn this type of stuff. We need to lower the rhetoric again. So after Donald Trump gets assassination attempt on his life, Joe Biden tells everybody to lower the rhetoric, but they don't lower the rhetoric. And if you go back, I actually said they're not going to lower the rhetoric. So they didn't. And now another guy gets deleted. Oh, you guys, everybody needs to lower the rhetoric. And let's start with conservatives and Republicans. Like, really? By the way, there's a difference between a conservative and Republican. I just would like to point that one out. I'm a registered Republican, but I'm a fiscal conservative. Mostly just a conservative. It's just the Republican Party is the one party that holds to my values. So that's why this also hits a little close to home, because Charlie Kirk was a conservative, registered Republican. But I don't see any of my people going out and deleting everybody. I don't see it. Just weird how, again, I just don't see the Democrats flocking to the airwaves, condemning this thing completely and continue to do it. I just see them going out saying Charlie Kirk's still a fascist, right? He's a Nazi. He hates trans, all these things. It just tells you they don't actually listen to anything the right has to actually say. See, what we do here is we call it the hypocrisy of the left, and we actually bring up what they say. We show you what they do, and we say, okay, we're going to expose everything that they've done. Where on the other side, they have no idea what our values are. They have no idea what Charlie Kirk has said or proclaimed. They don't know any of that. They just hear it on the news media and espouse a bunch of nonsense constantly. Just ridiculous. Really, really ridiculous. Well, it came out also over the weekend that the suspected Charlie Kirk killer reportedly lived with a trans-identifying partner. Why is this a big deal? Because what was originally being pushed was Tyler Robinson was a Trump supporter and his family were a bunch of Trump supporters and he's a clean guy and he's just a far-right guy that didn't agree with Charlie Kirk. It's whatever you're doing to try to confirm your bias. It's whatever you're trying to do to make it seem as though, this guy was not one of you on the left. But as more information comes out, it just fits the narrative that the guy was of the left. They keep going, oh, well, look, he was raised by a Republican family, which seems to be true. Okay. Doesn't that make it actually worse that even though you were raised by a Republican family, that the education system and the university system and the media could still radicalize you? Because as I've always said, the parents aren't raising the kids anymore. It's the media, it's influencers, it's everybody else, because they're so attached to their freaking phones that this is the state that we live in. That, again, it's the parents not raising the kids, whether you want to try or not. It's some dope idiot on the internet that's raising your kid. And that's why these kids can't sit down. They can't pay attention. They can't do anything. They can't read. They can't read at grade level. They can't do mathematics at grade level. They're graduating with over 4.0s and they don't know how to add or subtract. Major problem. But then when you try to take away phones, right? Oh, you're the bad guy for taking phones. Gotcha. Okay, well, your kid can be screwed up then, and then I'll go on my merry way, because all you're doing is just making it a lot easier to compete against people. That's all it is, really. Well, The dude was dating a transgender identifying partner. Robinson, who authorities arrested on Thursday night, lived with a transgender partner. The individual, who is a male transitioning to female, is fully cooperating with the FBI. The Daily Wire's Matt Walsh said he also confirmed the identity of Robinson's partner. I've independently confirmed that Charlie Kirk's assassin did in fact have a transgender boyfriend. This is LGBT extremism. A lot more will be revealed soon. The far-right narrative is absolute BS. Not even close to true. Don't fall for it. Well, I have a brain, so I'm not going to fall for it. That's not an attack on Matt Walsh. It's just like somebody said in the chat here. Mahalia said a far right or conservative would not have killed Charlie. Correct. I mean, maybe. Anything's possible, right? For the most part, when you're doing something like this, but it doesn't fit. The bullet casings in the suspected assassin's weapon had anti-fascist slogans and phrases written on them, such as "Hey, fascists, catch." Another included the lyrics from a famous Italian anti-fascist song called Bella Ciao. I would also like to point out that in the book that I wrote, again, I'm going to continue to plug it because people clearly need to read it in this country, is the people that push themselves as anti-fascists or masquerade as anti-fascists are just, in fact, the fascists themselves. And the left have been doing this for quite some time, is they just project all the time. See, they'll call you the fascist, you a threat to democracy, but it's the left that are actually those very things. And then people go, "Oh, Brad, you're just espousing this dangerous rhetoric that the left is espousing." No, I'm not. I'm not going out deleting anybody. The left is doing that. That's them. And I don't know any other conservatives that are doing that. I don't know any conservatives that are calling for violence or calling for the attack on people on the left. That's not what I'm asking for. I'm just going to continue to do my thing. I'm calling their asses out and saying how crazy they are, because they are. And it's fact. But they can't see that because these are the same people that don't deal in reality. They don't. Their brain doesn't work correctly. I don't know if they were kicked in the head when they were a kid. I don't know if their mom was doing drugs when they were in the womb. I don't know if they were radicalized later on. Some sort of wiring was crossed. Not exactly sure. But this is what happens when people have evil within their hearts. They go do evil things. And when they think they are something of which they're not, well, that is a typical MO of the left, is it not? I'm a woman when I'm actually a man. I'm this when I'm actually that. Sure you are. Gotcha. Oh yeah, you're straight. Your head's on right. Family members told authorities that Robinson, a 22-year-old from Utah, had become increasingly political in recent years. The suspect disliked Kirk in particular. At a recent dinner, he spoke of how much he disliked and disagreed with Kirk, while mentioning that the conservative planned to visit Utah soon for an event at Utah Valley University. Okay, you didn't like the guy. You don't go delete somebody just because you don't like them. It's really an unbelievable thing. Kirk, the founder of Turning Point Radio, was assassinated, which we all know already, which is horrific. Just something I can't get out of my mind, something that's not leaving me. And one thing that I saw constantly on TikTok was all these other people saying the same thing I was saying that same day when we went live. I never met the guy. I've watched him for years and years. I've seen almost every debate he's ever done. I've seen a lot of his speeches. I followed the guy closely. I have his books. And it hit me personally. And I've never really felt like that with somebody I didn't know. I'm not one of those people that gets emotional over these celebrities passing away. I'll give them a shout out when, people that I followed over the years, like Hulk Hogan or Ozzy Osbourne, like all these people, it touches you, but nothing like this at all. So it's nice to see that there's people out there that were going kind of through the same thing as I was. I mean, I knew the Patriots in the chat were, because you guys were live with me when we heard the news. Trump was out here saying radical left lunatics in the way of national healing. Absolutely. President Donald Trump on Saturday blamed the radical left for blocking national healing. I'd like to see the nation heal, the president told NBC News, but we're dealing with a radical left group of lunatics and they don't play fair, and they never did. No, these are the people committing crime. These are the people voting for more crime. These are the people that don't want to play into reality. These are the people that want to destroy your country from the inside out, and they're doing everything possible that they can, to the point where now they're going to delete you until they get their way. See, before we just called them snowflakes, before we just called these people, temper tantrums. Oh, you big baby, you're out there crying because you don't like what somebody says. Well, now they're to the point where these big babies are now just going to delete you because they don't like what you say. That's all it is. So now, if you do anything like I do, Well, now you have the worry of being deleted somewhere, where they'll just pull up on you in the street, delete you, and go on their merry way. Yeah, they're lunatics. And that's Trump being nice, by the way. These people are out of their damn mind. They deserve to be in a mental institution. If you're going around saying all these things, men become women, women can become men, I'm going to delete you because of the things that I don't like you saying, yeah, you're deranged. And you need to seek major, major help. And medication ain't going to fix it. It's just going to mask it. Trump survived at least 2 assassination attempts during the 2024 campaign. Literally a year later, now Charlie Kirk was assassinated. All by leftists, by the way. You notice that? There's a common theme here. Common theme. His comments echo some of the president made Thursday about lunatics on the radical left. The president said he is focused on addressing violence on the left. Yeah. Or else what will happen? We'll just keep getting deleted. I'm really concerned for our country. We have a great country. We have a radical left group of lunatics out there, just absolute lunatics, and we're going to get that problem solved. I'm only concerned for the country, the president said while leaving the White House. The president has urged supporters to follow and followers of Charlie Kirk, the GOP activist and founder of Turning Point USA, who was assassinated on Wednesday, to respond with nonviolence. Numerous prayer vigils and memorials for Kirk have been held across the country, which we've covered here. And my hope is that nobody commits violence on either side, especially on Republican side right now. And I understand the urge to do something stupid, but that's not what we do. And I think a lot of people have had that thought of being pissed off and having the thought of violence when this happened to Charlie Kirk. But what makes us different is we don't act on those impulses. We don't act on those emotions. We don't act on those thoughts. Because just because you think something doesn't make it true or right. We're human beings. We have to deal with our emotions. And when somebody's attacked in your tribe and they feel like a family member, like Charlie did to all of us, it enrages us. The difference is that we go to our community. We go to Christ. We go to our Bibles. We go to our churches to scrub that thought away. What does the left do? Well, they just embrace those types of crazy ass thoughts and they go delete you is what they do. Yeah, we don't do that. We ask God for guidance. We ask God for comfort. We ask God to lead our steps. We have Christ inject the heavens into us so that ultimately we can come to some sort of rationalization of what is good and what is evil, what is right and what is wrong. Because just because you have those thoughts doesn't make it right. We all have crazy thoughts here and there. All of us, including myself. The thing is that you have to tell yourself, oh, that's a crazy thought, and move on and correct yourself. And the best way to do that is not just with community, but it's community with Christ. And yeah, I'm going to keep pushing religion because it's important. And a lot of people went to church this weekend. Like I said, there was churches filled yesterday, absolutely filled across the country to where there was no parking. There was not enough seats, standing room only, all across the country. And I hope that continues. I hope there's a revitalization within the church because that's, in my opinion, that's the only thing that's going to fix this. It's not going to happen in 5 years or 10 years. This is a decades-long problem to where we have allowed social media to raise our kids and our families. The only way to correct that is to have the scriptures, have Christ, have someone's faith scrub away all that sin and all that negative thought. Do you know what's fascinating? Charlie Kirk was assassinated for just speaking. Do you want to know who else was killed for literally just speaking? Christ. That's it. That's it. They were both killed for legitimately just talking. Never harmed anybody, never hurt anybody, doing good work, speaking of the faith, creating a group of people that wanted to follow them and be like them. And my hope is that those resemblances will continue. And what I mean by that is, I hope that just as many people started following Christ, that many continue to do so after what Charlie has said in terms of following Christ. I'm not saying follow Charlie as your Lord and Savior. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that through his work, through his words, that those very things will lead you to Christ, that will lead to the revitalization of the church, lead to the revitalization of what makes this country great. That's my hope. But, that's not going to stop the spin cycle here. After 4 days of comments that essentially blamed Kirk for his own murder, and an unexpected, unlikely respite came from ABC News. So for those who don't spend their Sunday mornings glued to the television and their Sunday afternoons attempting to dig through a week's worth of network and cable news media spin, the Daily Wire has compiled a short summary of what you may have missed. Thank you, Daily Wire. Appreciate that. Here we go. Here's one from ABC this week.
Charlie Kirk's influence with young conservatives was far-reaching, galvanizing supporters in person and online like few others. But he had plenty of critics who viewed him as using hateful and inflammatory language. In the wake of Kirk's death, I sat down with 3 politically active conservative college students to understand more about Kirk's impact and his complicated legacy.
Kieran Laffey, Katie Caldwell, and Philip Vaintraub are college students who Charlie Kirk inspired, and they are devastated by his loss.
I saw that horrific video of the assassination. It was sickening.
Just to hear that something terrible would happen to him was just honestly tragic.
I was in my history class, and for the first time in my college career, I actually stepped out, and my eyes were watery.
We sat down with the group just days after Kirk's murder.
Charlie Kirk was one of these towering figures of my youth. I'd watch these videos as a kid of him standing up, him being so articulate, but him being also so kind to everyone around him. And I said I wanted to emulate that.
And Katie, how about you? What drew you to Charlie Kirk?
So I definitely grew up in a more...
So it's nice to see the youth kind of speaking out on this. After speaking with Governor Spencer Cox of Utah and Jared Polis of Colorado about the shooting, Raditz brought in a panel of 3 young conservatives who spoke as being a part of Kirk's campus organization, Turning Point USA. You have Charlie Kirk was one of these towering figures of my youth, as was stated. So it's nice to see the media actually going and getting the people that knew Charlie, knew his message, to come out and speak. But there are also still media out there trying to spin this whole thing as Charlie Kirk was a radical. Charlie Kirk was a fanatic, was one that I heard on AM 640 by Bill Handel, who has his head so far up as you know what. It is truly mind-blowing. When I was driving to work on Thursday, Bill Handel, who is a guy I listen to every single morning. When I leave here, I will be listening to Bill Handel, was calling Charlie Kirk a fanatic. And he legitimately said that Charlie Kirk didn't want anything other than white people in America. It was so wild to me. I almost wanted to pull over because of how idiotic that guy is, that runs a news show in the morning and literally doesn't know the difference from his ass from his mouth sometimes. Because that's not the only thing I've heard him get drastically wrong, which tells me that he doesn't actually do any research on stuff. He just says a bunch of things and then nobody corrects him because the guy's been there so long and he has his freaking name on the Hollywood Walk of Fame as a radio personality. Wow, stop traffic. You paid a bunch of money to have your name on the Walk of Fame. That doesn't give you a right to go slander a dude that was just assassinated because you don't want to take the time to actually hear what the guy has to say. And because you heard one thing, probably taken out of context, that led you to tell a bunch of people on the radio a thing that he doesn't actually believe. He was a right-wing fanatic. What an idiot. It blows my mind that people think a conservative is far right-wing. Brad, why listen to him? Because he still hosts a good show. Just because I don't like one thing somebody listens to, I'm still going to listen to the things they have to say. There's a lot of people that I disagree with, but I still listen to them. I'm not saying everything the guy says is idiotic. And I think this is a point that I think is also important, is that in any conversation that I have, or if I'm listening to somebody, I'm always going to think that they know more than me. And I'm always going to try to learn something from something that they say. So that could be from somebody I disagree. Mind you, you guys don't realize this. That's all I do is I listen to people that I disagree with. I mean, don't get me wrong. I listen to people that I do agree with, but at this point, my thinking as a conservative, I already know what people are going to say. For example, I've watched Ben Shapiro for so long. I know all Ben's talking points, and there's nothing against him. It's just if I could already assume what Ben is going to say, because that's exactly what I would say. He's going to say it way more eloquently than I am and way more nice than I am and package it in a way that is a lot more sophisticated. But I already know what he's going to say. Matt Walsh, Andrew Klavan, Glenn Beck, like all these people, I already know what they're going to say. I spend most of my time listening to these lunatics, these psychos on the left, so that I can report to all of you guys, hey, this is what they're saying on TikTok. Hey, this is what they're saying on YouTube. Hey, this is what they're saying on social media. You know, I go and have to read all these articles. I don't have to, but I read all these articles so that when something comes up, I can recall back in my memory and I can tell you guys, oh yeah, this is what they're saying. This is what the media are saying. This is what this person's doing. This is what this person's saying. So hence why I still listen to the guy on the way home, or on the way to work rather. And I say, oh, this is what he was saying. This is what Bill Handel was saying, or this person. You know, and so I spend most of my time in the realm of these psycho lunatics reading what they have to say. Luckily, I find it enjoyable. I find it interesting, but that's why I still listen to him. And he does host a good show. He also hosts Handle on the Law. You get these callers or these listeners in, but that's here nor there. But yeah, I still listen. I listen to majority of people on the left, unfortunately. Bunch of crazy psycho lunatics. That's why I know that they're lunatics. I listen to them, and they're just deranged. There's something off, man. That's for darn sure. Big time. All right, let's get into some other news here. Starlink has a global outage, cripples Ukraine's frontline military operations. A global Starlink outage struck early morning, disrupting satellite internet for tens of thousands of users worldwide and causing a complete blackout across Ukraine's front lines for 2 or 3 hours. Ukrainian Commander Robert Brovidi reported the failure halted military drone operations and battlefield communications in the combat zone, while civilian hospitals and schools also lost service amid the war with Russia. SpaceX identified the issue as a software or network failure, not external interference, with service restoring gradually by mid-morning. So hopefully nobody lost their life due to this outage, but it's crazy to think that Starlink is being utilized on the battlefield, and without it, they're effed. But it also shows it's something that's always worried me. It also kind of shows that there is so much of a focus or reliance on certain technologies that are so easily disrupted that it makes me worrisome about our own military. And I've talked a lot about this in the past, that we're so consumed with having this technologically advanced military that my worry is that sometimes the old stuff isn't bad. I'll give you for example, because maybe I'm speaking a little bit too general. During the Biden administration, Kamala Harris wanted to make all vehicles in the military electric. And I thought that was stupid, because all you need to do is just throw off an EMP and all the vehicles are gone. They're donezo. And this is something that China has talked about, that we've also released, is that they don't need to necessarily launch a nuke on the ground or right above the ground slightly and delete a bunch of people. All China needs to do is launch a nuclear warhead above our airspace. All your vehicles are done, your communications are done, and it's going to lead to mass starvation across the country. That's all they have to do. They don't even have to delete anybody physically with a nuclear warhead. They're just going to do that on their own through the use of starvation. That's why Donald Trump wants to put in the Golden Dome. And it's not anything new. If you haven't heard about this, you've been living under a rock. We've already done a military or a governmental assessment on what would happen if China would do that. And they've already calculated how long it would take for half the country to die. It's quick. You can look that up yourself. It's very, very fast, a matter of months. So that was my fear, is that we're so reliant on technology where kind of the old stuff. Maybe we need to go back to just the old gas-powered, bada bing, bada boom. You could put it together with two guys, like the Jeep back in World War II, and get this thing up and running. I think we're a little bit too reliant on technology. I think we need to have it, but we also don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. So with that being said, I think we're going to end the show today. We're in slightly early so I can get to work, but I appreciate all of you joining us. I think more than ever, community is important. We had this, this feeling during Donald Trump's assassination attempt. I think it's only sparked more of a calling to continue this work, no matter if we get the views or not, that there's still people that need to get independent and conservative as well as Republican voices out there. And really appreciate all of you tuning in and joining our community. We do this each and every morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We also have Dark MAGA Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'd love for you to join us. You need to be a part of Rumble Premium or subscribe to the Bald Brad Show over on Rumble. If you're confused by that, a lot of people might be. If you just click this right here, this subscribe button, you can join us and you'll be able to join Rumble Premium when we are on Rumble Premium only. So we have to do a certain amount of hours. With that being said, pray for this country, pray for Charlie Kirk, pray for the heavens, pray for his family. And folks, I will see you back here tomorrow morning on the Bald Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.